Hey guys, in a recent video I showed you some game ideas that I've been playing around with, but I hadn't really made any kind of decision as to what I was going to work on next. And so in this video I'm going to kind of go through them again and show you basically what I'm going to be moving forward with and why. So if you don't know me, my name's Caroline. I've been teaching myself game development for a few months. I've made 5 games now. If you want to check them out, they're all hosted on itch and there's a link in the description. So the one of the first games that I was looking at was this was something that I made years and years ago, and my main reasoning for wanting to do this is that it's a grid based game. But what I've decided is at the moment I don't really have any other grid based games that I want to work on right now. I've got a few ideas for games I want to do in the future, but I'm not ready to move forward with them now, so I have dismissed that one for now. So another game that I was going to play around with was just kind of a Frogger type clone, but with a bunny instead of a frog, simply because I couldn't find a frog sprite. That is definitely a game I'm going to do, but there's no particular reason behind it, so I've just decided I don't think there's much I can do with it other than just make it into a Frogger game. So I'll just leave that one to later because I just don't feel it's got any particular benefit other than just making the game for the moment. So I kind of dismissed that one. So another idea was to continue working on my game Astroworlds, or rather than continue working on it would be to create a new game, Astroworlds 2. This tool here is called Goalscape. It's just how I prefer to plan out my stuff. I prefer to see things visually rather than having like a project plan or things written in a list. And so what I wanted to do with this game is make it so that it's mission based. I'd have a mission system over here, and you've got some resource gathering, so you're mining ore rocks in order to gather materials which you could then use to upgrade the player ship. I wanted to completely rework the way that the world was going to be spawned and obviously have the ship upgrade system. So this is one that's a really strong contender. I'm very, very keen now to get going on this, and the main reason is this game is very much based on the coding behind it, the mechanics, the systems, which is all the stuff that I love to do. The actual mechanics of the movement of the ship and all of that kind of stuff, that's all done. So I can focus on building in those additional systems. In terms of artwork, I've already done a little bit with it already actually. So I've created some sprites for asteroids because I wasn't really keen on what I had on the previous game, and I'm doing that with AI. But I have got some new sprites for the player ship which come from the original pack that I used in the first game, and for the ore rocks I have found an asset pack that I'm going to buy. So in terms of artwork, there's not much to be done, which suits me. So this is a very strong contender. Now on the subject of artwork, let me come back over to this game. So this is a fishing game, and what I had started to experiment with last time is mixing hand-drawn artwork like this with AI, and I've decided I just don't like it. I mean, this particular image kind of looks all right, but then at the same time, why would you have this kind of reservoir in the middle of a factory kind of plant? But honestly, I spent hours trying to generate images for this with the AI, and it's just not there yet, or certainly my skills in using it aren't there yet. And also a static screen like this is just kind of boring. I would just have kind of a UI for the fishing mechanics over the top, and it just wouldn't be very interesting. See, this particular game, the fishing game, the mechanics themselves I think are going to be pretty simple really. So really this game is going to be based more on artworks. I've had a different idea of how to build this. So I found this pack on the asset store, which I have purchased. Now I've actually got a few ideas for underwater based games that I want to use. So I think I could use this for multiple different things. So this asset pack has got all of these different sprites. I'm not particularly keen on the fish themselves, but I've been again experimenting with AI for that. But you know, the rocks, the corals and everything, I think I could make various different scenes of different kinds to represent different locations in the game where you could go and do the fishing. So the problem with doing this game now is that really it's all about the artwork and the world building, and that is something where it's just not my skill set. So this game would be very, very heavily skewed towards those soft skills and have much less in terms of the kind of mechanics and systems, unlike Astroworlds, which is completely the other way around, with like all mechanics and systems and very little to do with artwork. So for this game, I do want to do some more of that artwork because it's something that I need to practice, but I don't want it to be my primary focus because I get frustrated trying to do stuff like that because it's not my forte. So I need to have something else to work on at the same time. So this might be one that I start to kind of tinker around with, but not as my primary game. So lastly, there was a little game of kind of Pong that I was working on. I don't know what I've done there with the speed of that. I think I was mucking around with something. But anyway, whilst I don't particularly like what I had done here, I have decided to move forward with a breakout game in general, and I have actually created a new project. I'll just show you that very briefly. With this game, it's still basic breakout, but the sprite which you're seeing here, that ghost, this is actually generated from a PNG file. I did not manually build this. And so with a game of Breakout, I feel like it's just one of those games that's just got a lot of potential in terms of mechanics, with features, lots of things you can add to a Breakout game, but also in terms of visual effects, juice, game feel. I think it's just got one of those potentials for me to be able to practice my skills in other areas as I learn about other things, you know, adding that juicy stuff, you know, good visual effects, making the game just look so much more vibrant. I think this kind of game would be a good one to kind of incorporate those things and practice on. So for the moment, this is the game that I'm working on. I've called it Sprite Breaker. I might change the name because it's a bit naff, and I've got a devlog video that's kind of ready to go as I've been starting to work on this. I'm going to hold fire on Astroworlds at the moment because I think this one will keep my attention for the most part, but I think I'm also going to start working on my fishing game, which I have called Wasteland Waters actually. But yeah, instead of this AI thing, I'm going to try using that underwater scene. But primarily, I'm going to be working on the sprite game, and I'll just be tinkering around with the fishing game, doing that artwork type stuff when I feel like I just want kind of a little bit of downtime and something sort of different to work on. That is it for this video. In my next one, I will be posting a devlog of how I've been getting on with this sprite game and how I've kind of generated this level here. All right, thanks very much for watching, guys. See you next time.